Hello young scientist. Now let's solve the NCERT question answers from separation of substances. So let's start with question number 1. Why do we need to separate different components of a mixture and give 2 examples? So basically there are 3 reasons to separate different components of a mixture. So the first one is to remove the non-useful components. Second one is to obtain 2 different but useful components. And the third reason is to remove impurities or harmful substances. And example of these is separating stones from rice and separating tea from tea leaves. So these are few examples of separating different components of a mixture. Now what is winnowing and where it is used? Winnowing is basically the process of removing the husk from the grains, and it is done when grains are poured from a height on a windy day. Like it is commonly used in agriculture to separate the grain from chaff, then husk and other unwanted materials. Third question, how will you separate husk or dust particles from a given sample of pulses before cooking? If when you're preparing rice, right, in rice few dirt particles or stones will be there. So how you will remove that before cooking? It must be hand picking. So correct answer is hand picking. Husk and dirt particles are separated from pulses by hand picking. Now next question, what is sieving and where it is used? So sieving is basically a separation technique that utilizes a sieve to distinguish between the particles of different sizes. Like for example, you must have seen your mother sieving rice flour, right? So in what happens in that, the sieve allows the fine particles to pass through while the larger particles will remain on the top, and it is commonly used in flour mills, then construction sites and laboratories. Fifth question, how will you separate sand and water from the mixture? So here we will use a combination of sedimentation, decantation and filtration. So in the first step, we will allow the sand and water mixture to settle undisturbed in a container. And during this process, the heavier sand particles will sink to the bottom, and this process is known as sedimentation, and the water will be seen on the top. Now in step 3, once the heavier particles will get sedimented, we will pour the water to another container, and this process is known as decantation. Now once it is decanted, we will use filtration method, and in that we will use filter paper to separate it. So this is the process of sedimentation, decantation and filtration. I have made a separate video on separation of substances. Please have a look on it so that you will get a better understanding from that. Now 6th question, is it possible to separate sugar mixed with wheat flour, and if yes, how you will do it? Yes, it is possible to separate sugar from the wheat flour, but it is time consuming and it is not always efficient. So a simple method will be sifting the mixture, that is sieving method. By sieving method we can separate the sugar which is mixed with wheat flour. Then the next question, how would you obtain clear water from a sample of muddy water? There are few steps involved in it. First, we will allow the muddy water to stand undisturbed in a container, and after the mud settles at the bottom of the container, which is equally known as sedimentation process, and on the upper layer we will see a clear water. Then pour the clear water gently into another container, that is known as decantation. Now after decantation, further impurities will be there. So to remove those impurities, we can filter this water again with the help of filter paper, and this process is known as filtration. 8th question, lemonade is prepared by mixing lemon juice and sugar in water. You wish to add ice to cool it. Should you add ice to the lemonade before or after dissolving sugar? In which case would it be possible to dissolve more sugar? Yes, it is possible. You should add ice to the lemonade after dissolving the sugar. Once you make the lemonade or once the sugar is dissolved, you can add ice. Why is it so? Because adding the ice allows you to dissolve more sugar, because the solubility of sugar in water increases with temperature. What is solubility? Solubility means the act of mixing together, right? So the solubility of sugar in water will increase with increase in temperature. Next is a true or false question. So the first question is, a mixture of milk and water can be separated by filtration. No, it is false. B, a mixture of powdered salt and sugar can be separated by the process of winnowing. No, it is false. Then, sugar of salt from tea can be done with filtration. No, again it is false. We can't do it. Then, grain and husk can be separated with the process of decantation. Again it is false. So these are the NCERT question answers from separation of substances. Hope you liked it.